We estimate that over the past 6 years, household expenditures on gasoline and motor oil have more than doubled, rising by over $1,200. In a recent national poll earlier this month, we found that 73% of respondents are greatly concerned about rising gasoline prices and 60% are greatly concerned about Mideast imports. Thus, the pocketbook and national security implications of our oil addiction, which are the subject of this hearing, are top of mind for consumers. Our research shows that current high gasoline and oil prices are the result of a long-term combination of an international crude oil cartel and a tight domestic refining oligopoly, both of which have systematically underinvested in production capacity. By failing to expand production capacity to meet demand and provide a reasonable reserve in an industry with very low elasticities of supply and demand, and that is prone to accidents and disruptions, they have created tight and volatile markets from which they profit. While crude oil is the largest component of gasoline costs, there have been months over the past 5 years when the domestic spread, the amount that domestic refiners and marketers take at the pump, has been over $1 per gallon. That's domestic, $1. Moreover, the tug of war between OPEC and the domestic refining industry over the extraction of consumer surplus has pushed up prices. The U.S. gasoline market accounts for about 1/4 of all the gasoline consumed in the world and is by far the largest single product market in the oil sector. As U.S. refining margins increase, OPEC receives the signal that the market will support higher prices, and as a rent-seeking cartel, pushes crude prices up so that they get their share of the available rents. So crude oil pushes gasoline prices up, and U.S. gasoline prices pull crude oil up in a vicious anti-consumer spiral. Speculation has also played an increasing role in driving up the price of crude oil and gasoline as huge influxes of money increase volume, volatility, and risk in those financial markets. A couple of years ago, the Senate Committee on Oversight and Investigations concluded that speculation accounted for 1/3 of the oil price. That's something like $38, not too far off what the oil executives told you a few weeks ago. In a well-functioning market, steadily growing demand, which we've had in the world, does not cause this powerful surge of prices or this huge increase in volatility. It is the failure on the supply side to invest, the concentration we allow to afflict the domestic refining industry, and barriers to entry that have allowed the cartel and the oligopoly to profit at the expense of the public, with speculators driving the process forward. At best, our strategic petroleum policy does us little good. At worst, the failure to have a comprehensive policy makes matters worse. We refused to fill the reserve in the 1990s when oil was $10 a barrel, and we refused to stop filling it when oil is $110 a barrel. That adds insult to injury. I don't believe that SPR fill or drawdown will have a significant impact on prices in the long term. However, in the short term, under certain circumstances, fill and drawdown can in fact affect speculative bubbles or short-term disruptions. Unfortunately, at its current size, the SPR is not a very credible source to execute those policies. We don't have enough to credibly threaten the markets over a significant period of time. Size matters when it comes to the strategic stockpile. Since 1990, our stocks of crude oil have declined by 40%, from 200 days of net imports to 100 days. On a percentage basis, our gasoline inventories have declined even more than that. Does anyone in this room believe that the world oil market has become 40% more secure in the last 2 decades? Not at all. Moreover, we do not have strategic refineries or a strategic product reserve, when in fact, refinery capacity and extremely tight gasoline inventories have been important causes of price increases over the past 6 years. The long-term solution to our oil addiction lies in reducing our consumption and increasing the supply of alternative transportation fuels. Congress took a big step in that direction with the Energy Independence and Security Act of 2007. But even if every goal in that act is achieved, in 2022, we will still be consuming over 20 million barrels and importing over 10 million barrels. We will still have a major national oil security problem and need a more effective strategic policy. Strategic petroleum policy needs to be dramatically improved in 3 areas. Expand the crude reserve so we can use it as an economic weapon. It's too small. We treat it as a pure military strategy reserve. Second of all, we should create a refinery reserve because the oil companies have made it clear they will not build enough capacity in the U.S. to meet our needs. And third, we need to build product reserves through a mix of public stockpiles and mandatory private reserves, which many European nations have. Thank you.